Thanks guys for joining. So today we're talking about indoctrination, how to reverse the programming. Super interesting. But first, I would like to get to know each other a little bit better, and just a brief little something. So tell us one thing that you are grateful for today. Christina?
Oh God. Hello everyone, I'm Christina. I'm based in Switzerland. Some of you know me already. And today I am grateful for the sun shining. I really enjoyed the lovely weather over here.
Thank you. Miguel?
Hi, I'm Michael, aka Miguel. I'm grateful that I had my brother because he's now on the other side, and that gives me extra kind of like clarity on what's going on. Very grounding.
Thank you. Mark?
Hi everyone, I'm Mark from Glasgow, sports therapist, health and wellness professional. And yeah, I'm also just grateful that we've got this amazing sunshine today. We can go out for a walk and enjoy it. Everyone's
loving the weather.
Yeah.
JP?
Hello everyone, I'm JP. I'm from the Seychelles, but I live in Ireland. I am grateful for the weather. Yeah, so it's been, and especially when you live in Ireland.
Amazing. That's a rare thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Livia?
Hi, I'm Olivia from North America. Pretty much the same as everybody else. I'm grateful for this sunshine. It's really nice. It's making my garden grow, so hey, that's good.
Sunshine makes us all happy today. Yasmin?
Hi everyone, I'm Yasmin. I'm in Jordan right now, and we also have really good weather. Like, we had a heat wave, so now it's cooler again. But today I've been thinking about how I'm grateful that I didn't give up in my life, because it's really humbling to think like where you are now. At any point in time, you could have just gotten off that path. So that's what I'm thinking about.
Thank you. Hi, Jenny. Do you want to let us know one thing you're grateful for today?
Hello. I am grateful for all the amazing people that are awakening on the planet at the moment.
Yeah. I love that one. I'm super happy for that as well. So I might as well just say one as well. Yeah. So I'm grateful for my freedom. I feel free. Like despite what we're going through, I'm so grateful for the time I get for myself and the space that I get to be in, you know, like in my home, in my energy. So from that's freedom for me. But thanks so much for joining, everyone. Moving on to the next slide. What are the many levels of indoctrination that we know of? We know that those in control have been manipulating us for many years, and even more so now. But how are they doing this? Yasmin, shall I get you to start on this?
This reminds me of when we did the interview together. That would have been the first thing that I would interjected with, but didn't. Yeah. One of the main things that seriously woke me up, but to a deeper level in terms of what was actually going on, was Michael Tsarian's talk called "The Subversive Use of Sacred Symbolism in the Corporate Media." And yeah, that was it. That was the starting point. It was like, wait a minute, that's how they're doing it. It started out with the symbols. Like, symbols represent a certain thing to our subconscious, and they're sticking it to whatever it is their agenda is, and that's how it's relating to us as beings. So that's like the first thing that I would say, was figuring it out on a symbological level. And then it started getting deeper than that in terms of numerology and then occult traditions. And you get even deeper in terms of the levels of control, like the subliminals, and then the repetition, like the priming. So yeah, it's pretty significant, and it's a deep study. So it's not just something that we just come across and then are able to unravel tons of it. So that's the first thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else want to add to that, JP?
Yes. Can you guys hear me? Am I on mute?
Yes, no, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear, yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Yasmin. So I think maybe what I'd like to add to this is, I think the control, for me, like I can see that the control starts at birth. So we are born into manipulation from our parents, and this is not our parents' fault. And you can actually see this, interestingly enough, if you watch the movie or the documentary The Matrix with your mind's eye, you would actually see that The Matrix is a documentary and it's all about indoctrination. And I think we are both, because there's a lot of pressure from our parents, especially, and I'm not sure if there's any parents now online. There's pressure for the parents to make the kids socially acceptable. And I think because of that, there's a lot of indoctrination that goes into play, and I think in all cultures, there's some level of indoctrination. And I think in some cultures is to protect the children from the bigger matrix. And I will give you an example, and I like to compare, because from the Seychelles, I have my ancestors from Africa and India. And for example, in Africa, there are certain things like, let's say, burping. This is even before we get to the level of, and I know about, I guess, symbolism, like from ancient Egypt, I've studied a little bit of symbolism, but I'm talking about very basic stuff that's been programmed into us. And usually the programming is from birth to about 7 years old. This is when the programming really happens. And it's really deep into our psyche. And like, for example, in Africa, in some culture, for example, Dagara, which is from West Africa, burping is polite, because when you burp, when you're having a meal, it actually means that you're full, and then you get it's a way of leaving the table. So you burp, and it's saying to the rest of the family that I'm full, so I'm going to leave the table. But in the West, burping out loud is actually seen as you are rude, like you can't burp out loud. So there's so much little thing, I guess, that's manipulated in a way, I feel, especially in the West, to keep us from the truth, to keep us from our true nature. So, and this is a very, I guess, basic example of where the manipulation and the programming really starts. And I think it's on both sides, because for example, as I've said, even in the African culture, a lot of it is done to protect, because as you know, colonization in Africa, it's basically destroyed Africa. But there's culture now that's actually growing back again, and they want this generation, so the new generation, to learn about their ancestors and the old ways. So it's a way of protecting them from what the West has brought into Africa. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you. Christina, did you want to add to this section?
No, I actually don't have anything to add.
That's fine. Mark?
Yeah, I've got quite a few things I can maybe share on this topic. The first way I think we're really indoctrinated that we don't even realize is through money. And the reason I say that is I've been looking a lot into this recently, and all around debt and how we are forced into paying back debt, whether we like it or not. If we think about it, when we take out a credit card or we take out a loan, we're effectively signing up to pay for more than what we borrowed, and we know that when we sign up. But how, let's say we take out £1,000 loan or £1,000 credit card. How do we suddenly, it's like almost by magic, we're expected to pay back, say, £1,500 or £1,600, whatever that interest is. And the truth is that money can't come out of thin air. But the banks, actually, at the moment we apply for the credit or we take out a loan, they assume that they're going to get paid the interest back. And they start actually spending that money that we've taken out on credit into other deposits and other savings that they use on behalf of other customers. And the reason this is, like, I would call it indoctrination, is because we have to find that extra money from somewhere. It's not something that we're just going to have. Like, we can't go out and charge someone else interest, really, unless we've got a business. So how does the average person get that extra 500, 600 pounds, whatever it is? And what they do is they have to give up. You know, we've got to give up certain things. Like, maybe we won't go out and buy the same brand of whatever it is, brand of food at the supermarket. We go for cheaper options so we can pay back this debt. So the end result is that we're worse off. And this whole idea of debt, I think, is just massively controlling on everybody. But then also the way the media portray it is that, yeah, we can go out and use our credit cards and we can spend on all this stuff that's advertised. So everything that we're showing the media is to help us consume and get into more debt. And that is the way that I see it as being controlled and manipulated on a much bigger scale.
That's really interesting. Thank you, Mark. Olivia?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what JP was saying about from a very, very young age. It starts basically from when you're born to about 7 years old. And that's what my dad would always say. That's the point at which you can be indoctrinated if they want to. Like Mark said, also, money is a big part of it. Money and are the two main indoctrinative
Oh, did she drop off?
Yeah, I think a signal was going.
Okay, Jenny, did you want to add to this? I can come back to Olivia. Do you feel like there's many levels of indoctrination?
Yeah, it happens everywhere, really, doesn't it? It's like everywhere, from schooling to the news, just to like family programming, kind of. Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, thank you. Miguel, did you? Oh, sorry, Jenny, did you finish?
Yeah, no, that's fine. My brain's not particularly working today.
Miguel, did you have something to add to this section?
I was an indoctrinator back when I lived in London. I was part of the problem, and I worked on many ad campaigns, media campaigns for Ogilvy. You've got to have this in order to complete your life. You've got to own this car. You've got to buy this product. You've got to buy these trainers. You've got to take out this bank account and all this thing. And like I forget your name. Mark said from Scotland, money in order to achieve these things, these sparkly Ford cars or whatever else I was doing at Ogilvy, you had to have the money. And if you didn't have the money, then you had to get a loan. And it's like, I see it as like, when I did one of the videos for the E202, there was one of the clips I had, which was like the circus ringmaster, like, come on in, it's all going to be fine. And that's the way they get you. And once you're in, you're kind of trapped unless you can find your way out and get out of this materialistic trap that they get you caught in. And then once you're in that, then it's like, okay, what else have I got to have now to make me a complete person? But the thing is, people don't realize they are complete already. They don't need to have the best car or these shiny trainers, but it's society, it's the trap of capitalism that is so bad. So yeah, I feel bad that I was part of the problem, but I know now, and I try to tell people that you don't need, this will not make you a better person owning these trainers or having that car. It's funny, there's a program on BBC next week and it's all about Monaco, and it's just so bling. It's so Lamborghinis, Pagani Zondas. It doesn't make these people any better, but the society makes you look up to them and think, oh, they've made it, but they haven't really.
Yeah. So many different levels. We're indoctrinated through the economy, like financially, socially, and as JP was saying, like from birth as well. That's something that I didn't even really realize, but it's true. Do we even need to consciously reverse the programming though? Like as part of our awakening journey, we naturally come closer to our psychic abilities, which makes it easier to decipher what is real or what is fake, thus making us less vulnerable to manipulation. I mean, how many of you agree with this? Or do you feel that, yes, we do have to consciously reverse the programming? There is something that we need to do. Or do you feel like actually just following our awakening journey, it naturally kind of just dissolves?
That's more it.
yeah, sorry. Mark, what do you think of this?
I mean, yeah, I think as we do become more awake, we're going to consciously reverse what we've been manipulated with anyway. But there's an interesting sort of documentary I was watching about even from birth, when we have our birth certificates. You know, the birth certificate creates this fictional legal entity that we can then be manipulated with. And that entity is going to stay with us the rest of our lives. So unless we find a way to break free of that link from birth, then we're still subject to all the other programming and manipulation that we have.
Yeah. JP, did you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think whether it's I think conscious. I think that maybe consciously, like we need to consciously make the effort to remove the programming. Again, like it's like in the Matrix, and I think one of you posted on Facebook about Agent Smith, and the thing with the programming, the thing with the indoctrination and the Matrix that we actually all designed to be Agent Smith. We are all protecting something. And we actually sometimes don't even realize this is how deep the programming is, because we could believe in something, but then someone else do not believe in something else, even if we are all at the same level of consciousness of awakening. But it's all a matter of belief. And I think because of the programming of how deep it is in our psyche, I think then we tend to, instead of accepting that, well, like maybe free meditation, maybe it's okay for someone else to have a different opinion. We like immediately we become the Agent Smith to try and defend the Matrix, to try and defend the programming that we are in. So I think it's really definitely a conscious effort. And I think at the end of the day, what is going to dissolve this program is, I don't want to say, I know we all talk about unconditional love, like maybe in the sense that, in the sense of, I don't know, perhaps I love you because I need something from you and vice versa. What I mean is, like maybe in a deeper sense of acceptance, that we need to accept. And I think in that sense of acceptance, this is when the Matrix starts to dissolve, because what's actually keeping the programming going is the friction. So, and I think consciously, as we wake up, I think we will awaken to acceptance, and then this will eventually dissolve the Matrix. Because the 1% that's controlling everything, this is what's creating the separation between us and them. Like it's the friction, and they don't want love to exist, and that's why they're creating everything that we see, the money, divide, conquer, and and it's all part of the programming of the system, and the vaccine, the this, the that. So, but there's a bigger picture, and I think all that is created, again, this is part in the programming. I think it's actually all created to distract us from who we actually are, from our true nature. And, so that's why now, and I know we need to fight for, like Corona doesn't exist, we need to, but I think sometimes the effort is possibly lost too much in the fight for the bad, but we are not really creating the good. And which I find the ascending tribe. So that's what really got me interested to the community, because I can see that we really want to create something good, rather than just keep on fighting the bad.
Yeah, thank you, JP. Yasmin?
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I think what I want to say boils down to radical responsibility. It starts with us as individuals. You can't change people. You can't push your perspective. You can't create a new thing for people that don't want to get involved with it. That doesn't make any sense. So the first thing I want to say is that I do believe we have to consciously reverse the programming, even though when the cycles come in of awakening, it brings your awareness to those things. It's your choice at that point whether you want to dismantle it. It's your choice at that point whether you're able to take it on. So the second point would be, before we can even start with dismantling the fact that we are corporate fictions, and the fact that we're plugged into something, this, that, and the other, and the effect on other people, it's going to start with ourselves. It's going to start with, well, how do I indoctrinate myself on the daily? What are the little habits that I refuse to acknowledge? You know, what are the ways that I'm still codependent with my family or my belief systems? So it has to start with us. And we have all the tools to do that. It's like our awareness naturally gravitates towards things. If we ask a question like, how am I blocking myself? Then your awareness will shift into that. But then it's about a willingness to do something about it, because we all have the choice to. And just to summarize a little bit, like what we said on the previous slide, I've noted down that all of this seems to be protective, regardless at what level we take it from. It's like it protects the group, it protects the matrix, it protects the herd. It's a false persona that protects your fragility, your interest. So on the level of growing up, that would be like how to remain sane along the same genealogy. And then on the level of programming, it's just instructions to get us to run. And then in terms of the external, it's just manipulations to get us to act a certain way. It's all masking a true self. So consciously reversing the programming is consciously becoming who you really are.
Thank you. Livia, did you want to add to this?
Not to this part really, because you guys have covered pretty much exactly what I was going to say this time. So
that's fine. Christina?
No, me neither. I'm fine.
Jenny? With Lumi?
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said. I think we do need to
Let's go. I played the ticket.
Lumi thinks you should all look at her stickers.
Yeah.
Everybody say.
I'll mute myself again.
Thank you. Miguel?
I think everybody's kind of covered it off. It's just, I get the feeling they are shit scared of us awakening. Absolutely crapping their pants. Because when I objectively look back and see what's happened from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to now, you can see they are trying to rapidly. And it was a line in Star Wars where Princess Leia says, the more you grip, it will fall through your fingers. And they're trying to manipulate, but they don't realize that in this lockdown period, lots of people are starting to wake up to what's going on.
Yes, exactly. They're starting to ask a lot of questions because something doesn't smell right. So how do you feel mass conditioning is affecting you, or has affected you, or is currently affecting you? Do you feel like you're already on the path to reversing your programming? Yasmin?
Mass conditioning has had an effect over time as I began to realize where I wasn't an individual, where I'm acting in the interest of a culture or a family or a belief system. And I lost myself in that. And once you begin to want to express your true potential, then you come up against that. And that tension is the beginning of transforming it. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Livia?
I lost my button. How it's affecting me, I mean, I don't feel that it is, because I'm to the point now where I'm just seeing it happen to a lot of people. It is affecting me trying to help people wake up to the fact that they're being conditioned, very conditioned, but like others have said, there are so many people in lockdown or whatever that they are losing their grasp on people. A lot of people are waking up already. So it's not really affecting per se, but I can see how it's affecting a lot of people.
Yeah. I think for me, money is a big one. Like, I still very much feel conditioned around the perspective around money, and the negative connotations that are held around it as well. Jenny, did you want to add to this one?
Yeah, I think mass conditioning does still affect me in many ways. Like, there's still those programs that we've all been conditioned into growing up that I still haven't fully got out of, like the whole not being good enough, money, like you say. Like, there's so many aspects, because I mean, if mass conditioning wasn't affecting me, then I would just be completely like 5D, multidimensional, cosmic wonder fairy all the time, but I'm not. So it obviously is still affecting me in many ways, even though there's a lot of ways I can still see through it. I still feel like I'm controlled by it a lot still.
Yeah, I still feel really, what I find is that I just think it's like hard to reverse, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight either, because it's been many, many years of mass conditioning. But Mark, how do you feel?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, as you've all said, it's difficult because we're the ones that are awake, and we're the ones that are trying to see past all of this. And it's hard when we are seen then to be going against the grain. You know, we're the ones that are trying to go against everything we've been told to do and everything we've been programmed to do. And I think for me personally, like, I've been very public from the start about what's been going on, and just dealing with so much resistance from people that you have grown up with, that trust you and you trust them, and suddenly it's like you're creating these massive challenges in your relationships and friendships. So I think we've got to bear in mind that we have to have that inner strength as well to see through this. And as part of our awakening journey, it's all about, you know, sticking to our beliefs. And we've all got the choice. You know, we could stay silent and we could just let this go on, or we could choose to be vocal about it and actually, you know, do what we're doing and starting to build this new revolution, this new awakening that we can help other people get out of this. But we've got to be prepared to put ourselves on that front line and take that flak, because people are going to throw it until they realize which side we're actually on in this.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
It's so true. JP, did you want to add to that?
I've lost my button as nothing. I found it. No, I agree to 100% with what you've all said. Mark, I guess the friction in relationship. And it's interesting, like, maybe this is something we can ask Jenny and Livia after, because they are parents. But this is something that I felt growing up, where I guess my parents didn't know any better, but this is what, first of all, the programming starts from, so the mass conditioning, the mass programming from birth to about 7. This is when they really go deep into the psyche. And then, as you keep growing up, the programming is sort of free in a way. It's voluntary. So you are taught even by your parents that you need to go to school, you need to find a job, you need to get a degree, you need to get into debt to get a degree, you need to then get a job to pay for that debt, and then you need to get a mortgage, get into more debt to buy a house, and then you keep paying for all that. It's almost like they tell us that we need to keep preparing. And it's a programming that I don't know how, whoever thought of this design must be so clever, because it's a design of preparation where we are always being prepared, but we never arrive. So we are prepared, so from childhood, we are prepared to go to primary school. From primary school, we are prepared to go to secondary school. From secondary school, we are prepared to go to university. From university, we are prepared to go into the world of work. And then we arrive into the world of work. We're still not there yet. So then we are prepared, to get married. And it just keeps going. And so then when you try to go against that, like Mark was saying, then it creates friction with the family, with all the real relationships. Like, people think you're crazy. And then when you try to go against that, this is when the Agent Smith comes, what do you mean you're going to go off grid? It doesn't work this way. You need a mortgage, you need this, you need that. And so I see how it affects a lot of people. And I think, something needs to happen, as Yasmin was saying, where I think all of us anyway. So we've experienced something personally it's almost like it's cracked the heart where the light came out. And I think once the heart is cracked and there's a little bit of light that comes out, it's very difficult for you to go back into the darkness, because the light wants to find its way out, and you keep going in to actually push everything out. And for some reason, the more you push out, the more you feel supported. And we need to surrender to that trust. And it's when we fall into that trust, when we fall into that surrender, that the whole mass conditioning it's almost like you just see them as things that comes to you and they float around and you can push them away. And the relationships, the friction between your relationship doesn't really affect you that much anymore, because they just experience, but it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort for people to get there. And I met a good friend of mine, so she's my best friend now. So I think Alex, you're organizing an interview with her. Her name is Colette, and I met her in 2012. In 2012, a few things happened to me, and then 2013, I lost my mum, which really cracked my heart open, and this is when the awakening started. But Colette was actually preparing to move off grid, and I was thinking, but how is she doing it? And she taught me every single step, and she said, JP, you don't need a mortgage. You don't need that much money to actually buy land, to grow, to build your own home, to buy. You just need a partner. You need a partner or community who believes in what you are doing, to support each other. You need trust, you need discipline. And when you think about all these criterias, they are exactly what the matrix is stopping us from experiencing.
Yes.
So I think, the only way for us to experience this is to go in. That's the trick. Because once you start to go out, you're losing it. So we need to keep doing the internal work. We need to be vocal, but at the same time, people need, because I'm looking at my friend Colette. Okay, yes, I was meditating, going within, and she was doing the same. But I got more confidence because she was walking her talk. So we need to keep doing that as well, so we can affect people in a positive way from that conditioning. Sometimes I think I speak too much.
No, but what you share is so useful, JP, honestly. Please, you can keep sharing away.
So that's me now.
But it's funny that you say that, because actually what that triggered for me was actually that's so true, because we are basically trained in school to be slaves, and then you leave slave school in a way, and then you go into, I know it sounds quite dark how I'm saying it, but if you think about it from that level, it's like, well, really, we're not taught how to critically think for ourselves, or we're not taught to express ourselves. We're not taught to live and act from our true self, and then we leave school, and then we get into these jobs, these occupations, which actually, if you break down the word occupation, occupy, it's to keep us busy, So that sparked that for me. Miguel, did you have anything you wanted to share on that?
I disagree with what Mark was saying about telling people, and I think by the sounds of it, Mark, you're meeting conflicts on occasions with people. I approach it in a completely different way. I guess with my media background, you turn it around on them and you leave it open for them, sow the seed in their mind from the alternate viewpoint, and then see if they want to know and find out what's going on for themselves, rather than meeting them head on. You're going to meet with conflict. So the way is to break that down in the way you word it. But it's funny how you said, Alex, about occupation.
Yeah.
And because it says anything, you've got occupation, but growing up, I always never viewed it as occupation. It was career. And there is a difference between a career, my choice, and occupation, what you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny you talk about schooling. I was crap at school. I failed. I was clown of the class. I got into trouble. I would be staring off into space, and they'd be like, "Michael, back in the room," kind of thing. Follow their lead. But even from that age, at 6 or 7, I wasn't wanting to play their game.
Yeah.
And it's funny because JP was saying about he lost his mum. Sorry to hear that, JP. When my brother died back in 99, that was when I had all the questions, because before that point, I was happy to go to the pub, go to the cinema, go to a nightclub, go to a hot holiday in the south of France or Italy, play the role, watch the World Cup, watch Liverpool. play the role. But then when John died, who was my younger brother and my best friend, then I had all these questions and nobody had any answers. And that's when I started on the journey. And the things I found out, you will find out it's a curve. It will accelerate. The more you learn, the quicker things will speed up. Because I'm now manifesting things on I guess about a weekly, monthly basis. Since I last did the videos, I'm now planning my getaway up to the Highlands. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm heading. I know who I'm going with. And it's all everything is starting to fall into place, because it's like turning the mirror back on the power and enabling the power for myself.
Yeah. I know what you're saying about planting the seed. Yeah. Like, because I'm often met with conflict, because I'm not good at reverse psychology, I don't think. I just want to wake people up, and then sometimes I'll just say it how it is. Like, in work, I'm kind of known as like the crazy woman,
That's like King Canute. You're trying to stop the tide from coming in. You can't. You're in London, Alex. I'll tell you now. Get out of London. I would seriously get out of London, because well, the negative. I've done London, lived in Kilburn. It was great at the time, but I would never go back to London now. I really would. I've got no wish to go. I want the countryside, the trees. But the thing is, it's funny. We did this family Zoom quiz on my nephew. Just a quick aside. He asked a question. He said, what happens when you hold a key fob to your head, your car key fob? And I didn't know this, but then of course it was like, apparently it extends the range of your car key fob. You can be further away and it'll extend because of the electricity in your brain. And that blew my mind. But then of course it was like, your brain is so powerful, and with cosmic ordering, you are in charge of your own future, not them. And that's why I say before, they are trying to control us. And that's why this vaccine will dumb us down. I've read all up on fluoride and the pineal gland, is it?
Yeah, pineal gland.
To try and to decalcify or to calcify it. But it's, everybody here, who's the lady, Jenny, who was saying that she's coming up against, I guess it's more of a scarcity mindset. Jenny, if you haven't heard of Joe Vitale, I would recommend you listen to him, because he will open your mind. And
I've read a few of his stuff. It's good.
Yeah, I was like, it was a lot to take in. I've had to listen to his scarcity, the abundance paradigm. But once you get past those, the second, third, fourth levels, it will blow your mind. You are more powerful than you can ever imagine, Jenny.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine it. I just haven't quite, I can imagine it. I just haven't quite got to my imagining yet.
I think that's just sparked another little thing for me, actually, because it's just like, I talk about it a lot, about having that level of imagination. I think that's another point where I feel like my conditioning is really still affecting me, is that like, I know the life I want to live. I know the reality that I want to live. And sometimes I struggle looking past does everyone know what I'm trying to say? Like, I struggle to look past the vision of what my mind can create. I mean, my mind can create anything, right, visually, but sometimes it feels a lot of blocks because of my conditioning.
Yeah.
Do you feel that as well?
That's what you need to break down. It's like everyone's been saying that the Matrix, in the first Matrix movie, where his mouth's covered over, and that's because they were able to condition him to think he can't talk anymore. And it's only when you break free of that, then he realizes he's got more power than they can ever imagine, as you have, Alex, as you have, Jenny. And Alex, you will get beyond that. But I think what I would say would stifle you is the negativity around London, because London, there's a lot of fear in London. You've also got the aspect of 5G, which will also affect you with its frequency. So getting out into the countryside will enable you to just expand your mind more than before.
Yeah, that is the plan. It's a work in progress.
Have a quick something to say.
Yes.
In terms of, we're going to talk about manifestation and things like that, you have to take into perspective the capacity of your nervous system. A lot of the times, the reason that we cannot get something to happen is because we're hitting up, as we were saying, about an internal block. You're hitting up against something, and it's a protective mechanism, and it will simply not allow you to expand past that point because it's like a red alert, danger to the system. So what you're actually working with is not imagining the most amazing thing that you possibly can, and then thinking in a day that's going to happen, because it's very challenging to where you actually are. So what I found actually works a lot better is taking that into consideration. It's like, for example, telling a traumatized person to go meditate is not going to have the same results as just meditation as overall. So it's like, if we're going to imagine something that we want to do, we have to also put in the work towards it. There is nothing that just happens by itself. So it's almost like if we don't consider what are we doing every single day, like where we're putting that energy. I was watching some really interesting Jordan Peterson talks, and it's basically like, in order to get over the meaninglessness of life and that suffering to make sense, the thing that we're working towards has to matter. And it has to matter enough for us to pick up the world on our shoulders and battle through. It has to matter enough. It has to matter enough that you worship it, that you care enough to every single day dedicate yourself to it. If it's just fluff, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I think it was Jordan who said the same, or someone similar. He says, like, you can't just imagine something and then you go and eat a sandwich. You have to work towards, so you have to work towards whatever you are imagining. And, like, I help people, like in I guess in some of the journey, like I help people to step into their future self, and they would ask questions to whatever they want to imagine. So they would ask the future self, so now here we are, this is what I want, how do I get there? And then eventually they get all this information, and then with journaling, but you can't just do that and then journal and then sit on the couch. So you need to be, you are like, sometimes you hear people, like talking about journaling, which is all good, but I don't think people actually know that you have to work on that. Like the journal needs to do the work as well. So you can't just journal. So you need to be the ink on the pen as well for the journal to do its thing. So that's very beautiful. Just I'll need to go quickly because I have a work call. But just something that I want to say, Alex, if you wouldn't mind, before I jump off.
That's fine.
There's just so much like I get so much energy like each time we have this session. And I think we should actually take it one step further, where we should do sessions. I think I know it will be a lot more effort. We'll all need to put in the effort. But I think collectively, when we look at the group, we all have something to teach each other. And I think we should actually create workshops where on top of discussing what we're discussing now, we should have practical workshops to help each other to achieve things.
Yes, they are on the cards as well. They're in the planning. Actually, I'm doing a planning session.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
100%.
Yeah.
You've actually just sparked something as well. I know you need to jump off, but while it's in my head, yeah, manifestation. I know, like, this isn't the topic, but a really wise lady actually told me, like, a couple of weeks ago. She said, you can't just wish and visualize it to happen. Like, you need to meet the universe halfway. So you can put the intention in, but then you also need to put the action in with it. And it was such a valid point, and that just reminded me of something you were saying, JP. So thank you.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I need, like I'd like to sit on one of Yasmin's and even Miguel's session on manifestation. I think that would be wonderful.
It's in the making.
Yes, and we can be free. All right. So thank you guys. It's always lovely to talk to all of you, but I'll see you around online and on WhatsApp in spirit.
Thanks, JP. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. See you. Bye.
Yeah, so how can we resolve indoctrination? So energy flows where intention goes. We can direct our thoughts and feelings towards conscious experiences. Can we transform conditioning into something positive, perhaps? By changing our perception around mind control, perhaps this could dissolve the indoctrination. And lastly, consciously controlling what we consume, being aware of what food we eat, what we listen to, what we think, and how we speak. Does anyone want to add to this? Or how do they feel? Yasmin?
There was those are some really good ways. It's like awareness, that's going to give you a clue on observing, just observing where are things at, what are my common responses. And then there comes in the motivation. What am I moving towards? What do I want to replace this with if this is what I'm focusing on? And the consumption piece, that's really important as well, because so much of what we had mentioned earlier is actually unconscious. It was just automatic. We're just taking it on and we're acting it out. So as soon as we're becoming conscious of these things and consciously moderating what goes in and out, you're already on the path towards transforming what it already is into something that can serve you. And I just want to add emotional freedom technique to these pointers, because there are some things you cannot consciously resolve. You can't access them. You either can't cope with the breadth of all of that trauma, all of those conditions all at once. So techniques like emotional freedom technique basically geared towards releasing some of these subconsciously held emotions in the cells, and it works with tapping on certain meridian points. So you just bypass the whole I need to know what it is and where it is, and just let the intelligence allow you to detangle it and shift.
Yeah, thank you. Jenny, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
Not really. I think Yasmin just perfectly explained it all, really.
Thank you. Livia?
No, I'm good on that one. Agree with everything Yasmin said.
Mark?
I would maybe just add to what Yasmin said there a little bit about if you want to create this other place you want to live in, or this alternative to where we are now, it's like, as you said, we've got to create this in our minds first. And let's take the example, if we want to go and live off grid, then we've really got to experience in ourselves how that's going to feel from an emotional point of view. Like, what are the emotional steps involved in going off grid? Because obviously there's a huge amount of fear, there's a huge amount of uncertainty, unknowns. So it's a lot around, what do I need to do from a step-by-step perspective of how to get there, first of all.
Yeah.
How it's going to make you feel, and then also actually taking those actions, as we said, because otherwise you'll just stay in the same place you are now and think, I would like to be off grid, but if you're not fully committed, as we said, to get there, you're just going to stay stuck exactly where you are. So you've really got to find a way of taking those steps and taking the action, as we said.
Thank you. Miguel, did you want to add to this?
No, I'll pass on this one. I'm interested in what everyone said, but I'm going to pass.
Okay, that's fine. So it's really interesting, everything that all of you said, all the input. These are just some of the ways that I felt maybe we could block the indoctrination. I'm still learning how to reverse it, like this is a learning in progress. So yeah, thank you. And just wanted to say, like, if any of you guys want to take to the floor, I say it every week, just message me, let me know if you have any suggestions for topics, or you want to hold space in these sessions. Like, you are more than welcome. So please get in touch with me and just let me know, and the floor's all yours. Thank you so much, guys, for coming.